What if the universe wasn't as empty as we thought? What if a messenger, disguised as a comet, had already crossed into our solar system, passing silently through the darkness, watching, measuring, choosing? This is the mystery of Three-Eye Atlas, a cosmic stranger that entered our skies in 2019. At first, it looked like a simple ball of ice and rock, drifting endlessly through space. But then, its path, its precise encounters with Venus, Earth, and Mars, began to whisper a different story. Was this object really a natural wanderer? Or was it something else? And more importantly, why does it seem to show an unusual interest in Mars? Before we dive in, let me ask you something. If you're fascinated by mysteries like this, interstellar visitors, alien technologies, the secrets of space, then hit that subscribe button right now. You'll not only help this channel grow, you'll join a family of curious dreamers who refuse to stop asking questions. And I promise you, the journey we're about to take is unlike anything you've heard before. So, let's start at the beginning. Astronomy is, in many ways, an act of patience. For decades, telescopes sweep the heavens, recording faint dots of light, searching for movement that betrays a traveller among the stars. In March of 2019, one of those faint specks lit up computer screens across observatories. At first, it didn't look like much, just another icy fragment on a long elliptical orbit. But the data, the velocity, the entry angle, the brightness curve, began to whisper something strange. This object didn't belong here. It was moving too fast. Its trajectory cut across the solar system at an angle that screamed of origins beyond the sun's reach. This wasn't one of our own. This was an interstellar intruder. Astronomers named it C/2019 Y4 Atlas, and later it was designated 3E Atlas, the third interstellar object ever confirmed after Oumuamua and Borisov. But almost immediately, 3I Atlas began to break the mold. When astronomers charted its orbit, something odd appeared. Instead of gliding past the solar system in a simple arc, 3I Atlas seemed to brush close to several planets in a row. Venus, Earth, Mars, even Jupiter loomed ahead in its calculated trajectory. The odds of this happening randomly, tiny, less than 0.01%. To the cautious scientist, this was an amusing curiosity. To the imaginative dreamer, it was something more. Was 3I Atlas moving on a path it had chosen, or one chosen for it? This wasn't the first time we'd been shaken by an interstellar visitor. Back in 2017, the cigar-shaped Oumuamua startled the astronomical community. It wasn't just its strange shape or reflective surface. It was the fact that Oumuamua accelerated as it left the solar system, as if something were gently pushing it. Comets do this sometimes. Gas vents from their surfaces and acts like a rocket. But Oumuamua showed no tail, no visible outgassing, nothing to explain the movement. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb went so far as to suggest it might be alien technology, a light sail, a probe. So when 3I Atlas appeared, scientists were already primed. If Oumuamua had cracked the door open to the possibility of alien probes, then 3I Atlas threatened to blow that door wide open. Here's where things get even stranger. As data poured in, astronomers noticed that 3I Atlas's path would take it unusually close to Mars. Not a collision, not even a capture, but close enough to make the red planet part of its story. Why Mars? Think about it. Mars is the planet of myth, the god of war, the world of canals and ancient civilizations in our old telescopes, the target of our first dreams of colonization, the one world in our neighborhood that feels almost alive with possibility. If you were an alien intelligence and you wanted to leave a breadcrumb for humanity to follow, wouldn't you choose Mars? Imagine this. What if 3I Atlas isn't just a comet? What if its trajectory is the signal? Instead of flashing lights or radio waves, what if the message is written in the path itself? A silent curve that whispers, "Watch Mars. Meet us there." Astronomers aren't trained to think this way. They prefer randomness, equations, probability. But probability itself becomes suspicious when the odds shrink to almost nothing. And with 3i Atlas, the odds are almost nothing. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The scientific community is terrified of meaning. If you stand in a conference hall full of astronomers and say, "This comet may be alien technology," you'll be laughed out of the room. Science is cautious. Science doesn't like leaps. But the public, the dreamers, the storytellers, they lean in when they hear those words. Because deep down we know our skies are too vast for us to be alone. And the thought that an object like 3i Atlas could be more than rock and ice electrifies the imagination. But that's also why it's dangerous, because meaning forces us to confront the possibility that we're not in control. Already 3i Atlas has changed us, in whispers, in late-night conversations, in speculative papers and YouTube videos like this one. Think about it. 10 years ago, the idea that a strange object drifting past Mars could be alien would have been pure science fiction. Now, it's mainstream debate. Major scientists are publishing arguments about alien probes, not in novels, but in journals. And every time we look up at Mars, we wonder if 3i Atlas is looking too. So here's the question that keeps me up at night. What if 3i Atlas is not here for Earth? What if Earth is not the main character of this story? What if Mars is the stage? Think about the symbolism. Humanity is on the cusp of becoming interplanetary. Elon Musk, NASA's Artemis and Mars plans, the Chinese space program. We are right now preparing to step onto Mars. And suddenly, an interstellar object appears. Its path brushes past Mars like a silent nod. Coincidence or invitation? We'll dive deeper into this mystery in the next chapter. But for now, let me leave you with this. 3i Atlas is real. It exists. It is not fiction. It is right now carving its path through the solar system. And whether you see it as an icy wanderer or a silent machine, it has already succeeded in one mission: to make us wonder. If you're enjoying this journey, make sure to subscribe right now, because in the next chapter, we're going to explore Mars itself, why this world is so special, why every civilization has dreamed about it, and why 3i Atlas might be using it as the centerpiece of its message. And in the comments tell me, do you believe 3i Atlas is just a comet, or something more deliberate? Until then, keep your eyes on the sky. What if the strange visitor we call 3i Atlas isn't really about Earth at all? What if we've been too self-centered in our thinking, and the real reason it came into our solar system was not to watch us, but to hover near Mars? Tonight, in this second chapter, we'll peel back the layers of mystery surrounding the red planet. Why is Mars the eternal obsession of human imagination? Why does every civilization in history look at it with both fear and hope? And what does it mean that 3i Atlas's orbit just happens to sweep near this fiery world, right when humanity is preparing to step foot there? Stick with me until the end, because this story isn't just about rocks, dust, orbits, and numbers. It's about destiny. And hey, if you're fascinated by the secrets of space, if you love diving into questions that mainstream science often avoids, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss the rest of this journey. For as long as we've looked at the sky, Mars has burned like an ember among the stars. Its rusty glow sets it apart from the cold whites and blues of the night sky. In ancient times, cultures across the earth gave it names soaked in blood and power. The Romans called it Mars, god of war. The Greeks called it Ares. The Babylonians, the Hindus, the Chinese all tied this wandering red dot to violence, conflict, and destiny. It was the planet of omens. When Mars rose bright in the heavens, kings trembled, soldiers sharpened swords, and priests muttered warnings. Why? Because even without telescopes, Mars was different. It wandered strangely across the sky, sometimes moving backward in its path, a retrograde motion that baffled early astronomers, and its colour, that blood-red hue. It was impossible not to think of fire, of blood, of war. From the very beginning, Mars was a planet of meaning. Fast forward thousands of years. In the 19th century, telescopes grew powerful enough to show features on the Martian surface. Astronomers squinted through eyepieces and began sketching what they saw. Craters, dark patches, strange lines that stretched for hundreds of miles. An Italian astronomer, Giovanni Schiaparelli, called these lines canali, channels. But in English, the word was mistranslated as canals. Suddenly, the world believed Mars was carved with waterways built by intelligent beings. Newspapers exploded with speculation. Science fiction was born. H.G. Wells wrote War of the Worlds. Percival Lowell published books claiming Mars was home to a dying civilization that built canals to carry water from the poles. Mars was no longer just a red dot. It was alive with possibility. And for the first time in history, humanity imagined neighbours in the solar system. The space-age reality. Then came the 20th century. Space probes flew past Mars. Mariner 4 in 1965 shattered the dream with a harsh reality. The first close-up images showed a barren, cratered desert. No canals, no civilizations, just dust and rock. For many, it was a disappointment. The Martians were dead, or had never lived at all, but others refused to give up. Viking landers in the 1970s searched for microbial life in the soil. The results were strange, ambiguous, never fully explained. Later missions found evidence that water once flowed on Mars in massive rivers and oceans. Mars, it turned out, might not be alive today, but it had been alive in the past. And that changed everything. Mars as humanity's second home. In the 21st century, Mars has become something new, a mirror of our future. Elon Musk talks of building a colony there to ensure humanity's survival. NASA plans human missions. China, India, Europe. Every major power has Mars in its sights. Mars is the next frontier, the place where humanity may plant its second flag, the world where we prove we can escape the cradle of Earth and step into the cosmos. And now, think about it. At the exact moment our species prepares to make that leap, an interstellar visitor drifts past, brushing close to Mars as if to say, "We see you." We've been waiting, the timing problem coincidence, or not? Astronomers call it chance, but timing matters. Imagine this. For billions of years, Mars sat silent and empty. For billions of years, interstellar comets drifted in random paths. And yet, right now, when humanity finally dreams seriously of touching Mars, an interstellar object passes close by. This is what's called the Fermi paradox in motion. Where are the aliens? Why don't we see them? Maybe the answer is, they're waiting for the moment we grow up enough to matter. And Mars is the test. The Martian signal theory. Some researchers have floated a bold idea. What if 3i Atlas's trajectory is not random at all? Instead of broadcasting radio signals, what if an alien intelligence communicates through celestial mechanics? The path of an object itself becomes the message. A comet that drifts close to Mars at the precise century when humans plan to colonize it. That is not noise. That is signal. It's like a cosmic billboard that says, "Yes, this is the place. Meet us here." Why Mars and not Earth? You might wonder, why not Earth? If 3i Atlas wanted to send a message, wouldn't it come closer to us instead of Mars? But think about it. Earth is already claimed. It's teeming with billions of people, politics, religions, and noise. It's too complicated, too messy. Mars, on the other hand, is a blank page. It's the one place humanity can still write a new story. If you were an advanced intelligence, would you really want to make first contact with the divided Earth? Or would you wait for humanity to reach a fresh, quiet world where the meeting can happen on neutral ground? Mars is the obvious choice. The symbolic power of Mars also carries symbolic weight. For ancient civilizations, it was the god of war. For modern civilization, it is the god of exploration. By linking itself to Mars, 3i Atlas taps directly into our mythology, our science, and our future. It doesn't just choose a planet, it chooses a story. And stories are how civilizations evolve. The cliffhanger. So here's where we stand. Mars is humanity's next destination. Mars has been the planet of myth for thousands of years. Mars is suddenly brushed by an interstellar object whose odds of arriving at this moment are astronomically small. Coincidence? Maybe. Invitation? Possibly. Destiny? That's the question. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the idea of destiny, not just for Mars, but for humanity itself. Is 3i Atlas merely passing by, or is it actively shaping the path of our species? Before you go, let me ask, do you think Mars is the chosen meeting ground for first contact? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget, if you want to follow this mystery to the end, hit that subscribe button right now, because this is just the beginning. What if the path of 3i Atlas, this quiet traveller from between the stars, is not the result of chance at all? What if it's every curve, every gravitational bend, every subtle tilt through our solar system is the language of a message, a cosmic code written not in words but in orbits? Tonight, in this third chapter, we confront one of the most haunting questions of astronomy. How do we separate coincidence from intention? When does random chance stop being random and start looking like a pattern? Stay with me, because once we break this down, the mystery of 3i Atlas may never look the same again. And hey, before we dive too deep, if these kinds of late-night cosmic explorations stir something inside you, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more dreamers just like you find their way here. The improbable path. Astronomers first plotted the orbit of 3i Atlas when it was discovered in 2020. Its hyperbolic trajectory marked it instantly as an interstellar object, not bound to the sun, not looping endlessly around like a comet or asteroid. It came from out there, it will leave, and in between, it brushes close to our cosmic neighborhood. Now, the solar system is vast. Empty space stretches billions of miles in every direction. A comet could take an infinity of possible routes, and yet, the path of 3i Atlas wasn't just random scattering. It threaded a cosmic needle. It came near Venus, near Mars, near Jupiter, and each time the odds of such a sequence occurring by pure chance shrink smaller and smaller. Astronomer calculations put some of these odds at 0.005%. Think about that. 5 chances in 100,000. That's not impossible, but it's rare enough to make you pause, like a coin flipped 20 times, landing on heads again and again. Sooner or later, you stop saying chance. You start whispering pattern. Patterns in human history. This is not a new problem. Humans have always struggled to distinguish coincidence from meaning. Ancient people looked at the constellations and saw gods, heroes, and monsters. Stars scattered at random became stories woven with significance. And in many ways, those patterns gave them a framework to understand life itself. But patterns can deceive. The canals on Mars that Schiaparelli saw, a trick of the eye. The face on Mars spotted in Viking images. Just a hill with shadows, yet sometimes the patterns are real. Tycho Brahe charted the wandering of planets. Johannes Kepler wrestled with the data and uncovered the true laws of motion. Elliptical orbits, not circles. What once looked like messy coincidence became mathematical law. So here we stand, caught again in that ancient puzzle. Is 3i Atlas's path an illusion, or a message, the language of orbits? If you were an alien civilization, more advanced than us, more patient than us, how would you communicate? Radio signals? Maybe. But signals can be missed, garbled, or ignored. Physical probes? Possible, but risky. They might never arrive. But orbits? Orbits are different. Celestial mechanics are the most durable medium in the universe. Once an object is set on a precise path, the laws of gravity and motion do the rest. A message written in orbital patterns could last thousands, even millions of years. Think about it. A probe doesn't need to send a signal. Its mere trajectory when studied becomes the signal. And what is 3i Atlas if not a trajectory that begs to be studied? When scientists projected 3i Atlas's future path, One feature stood out: its proximity to Mars. Of all the planets, it passes Mars in a way that almost seems intentional. Not a collision course, not a near miss, just close enough to whisper, "Pay attention to the red world." Now ask yourself, if you wanted to nudge a young species toward its next step, wouldn't you choose Mars? Not Earth, where the noise of civilization is deafening, but Mars, silent, waiting, the blank canvas of our future. Coincidence or instruction? The problem of human bias. Of course, scientists caution us here. Humans are masters of apophenia, the tendency to see patterns where none exist. From faces in clouds to meaning in random numbers, we are wired to connect the dots, even when the dots don't belong together. So maybe 3i Atlas is just a rock. Maybe we're projecting intention onto accident, just as Lowell once projected canals onto Mars. But here's the paradox. Sometimes apophenia is how discovery happens. Kepler saw patterns no one else believed, until his coincidences revealed planetary laws. Einstein saw connections between time and space that others dismissed as impossible. So should we dismiss the patterns in 3i Atlas's orbit, or dare to ask if someone drew them? To deepen the mystery, we have to look backward. In 2017, the first known interstellar visitor, Oumuamua, passed through. Its strange cigar-like shape, its odd acceleration, its refusal to fit the behavior of a normal comet, all of it sparked theories that it might be alien technology. Most scientists shrugged, but Avi Loeb of Harvard openly proposed the possibility. Now, only a few years later, along comes 3i Atlas. Another interstellar object, another puzzle, another visitor brushing the edges of Mars, two interstellar objects in quick succession, after billions of years with none, coincidence, or pattern, cosmic probability. Here's where numbers matter. The galaxy is filled with stars. Each star has comets, asteroids, and debris. Interstellar objects should pass through our solar system regularly. We just never noticed before. That's one explanation. Oumuamua and 3i Atlas aren't special. They're just the first we've detected. But let's test that idea. If objects pass through often, why do the first two we see both carry anomalies? Why does Oumuamua accelerate strangely? Why does 3i Atlas trace a path that seems to highlight Mars? We are left again with two options: random luck piling on top of random luck, or a design hidden in plain sight. Which feels more likely to you? And this is where things get fascinating. Whether or not 3i Atlas is meant to be a message, it already functions like one. Humanity is paying attention. You are paying attention. It doesn't matter if an alien hand set its orbit. The fact is, the moment it entered our system, it forced us to ask questions we'd forgotten to ask. It forced us to look not just at the stars, but at ourselves. Sometimes the message doesn't have to be sent, it just has to be received. Coincidence or destiny. So what do we call it? Coincidence, pattern, signal, destiny. Perhaps the truth is all of these at once. The universe is vast, chance is real, but meaning is what we make of it. The pattern may be less about 3i Atlas's orbit and more about our response to it. Because here's the secret. When enough people believe something matters, it does. Civilizations are built on myths, symbols, and stories. And 3i Atlas is fast becoming a story that defines our place in the cosmos. The cliffhanger. So I'll leave you with this. If 3i Atlas's orbit is a coincidence, then it is a coincidence powerful enough to reshape how we think about Mars, interstellar visitors, and our own destiny. And if it's not a coincidence, then someone, somewhere, is speaking to us in the quiet language of stars and gravity. In the next chapter, we'll examine the theories, bold, strange, and sometimes terrifying, that scientists and visionaries have proposed. What if 3i Atlas isn't just a rock, but a probe? What if it's here to gather data, or even to judge us? Before you drift away, let me ask you, do you believe in coincidence, or do you believe in patterns? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you want to follow this story all the way to its edge, don't forget to subscribe, because the real mystery is just beginning. What if 3i Atlas is not just drifting through our solar system on some ancient random path, but is here with purpose? What if, far from being a silent rock, it is a probe, a tool, a messenger, maybe even a watcher? In this chapter, we step into the arena of ideas, the theories humanity has built to explain what 3i Atlas could be. From cautious science to bold speculation, from comforting possibilities to unsettling ones, we'll explore how Earth is wrestling with the mystery of this interstellar visitor. And before we dive in, if you love following these what-if explorations into the strange, the cosmic and the unknown, make sure to subscribe to this channel and like this video. That way you'll never miss the next chapter of this unfolding mystery. The scientific baseline. Let's begin with the conservative view. Most astronomers see 3i Atlas as exactly what its label says. An interstellar comet. A chunk of ice and dust, flung loose from some distant star system. Nothing more. This is the null hypothesis. The explanation we must always start with. Interstellar space is full of debris. Gravity slingshots objects across light years. Eventually some wander through our neighbourhood. We've already detected Oumuamua, and 3i Atlas may simply be another. To these scientists, the mystery is not whether it's alien technology, but why we're so quick to imagine it is. They argue the unusual path, explained by gravitational assists, the odd timing, pure coincidence, the fascination, human psychology projecting meaning. If they're right, then 3i Atlas is not an alien probe. It is a cosmic iceberg passing through. But let's be honest, that answer doesn't quiet the imagination, does it? Theory 1. The reconnaissance probe. The first bold theory is simple. 3i Atlas is a reconnaissance probe. Think of it as a drone, not necessarily alive, not even necessarily piloted in real time. Just a machine sent to gather data. How would it work? Imagine an advanced civilization wanting to explore nearby stars. They don't send fragile biological beings. They send swarms of probes. Small, fast, durable. Probes that can survive eons of drifting through interstellar space. Every so often, one passes near a solar system like ours. It observes, records, maybe even transmits data back. It could take thousands of years for a signal to arrive, but time means little to a civilization millions of years older than us. Now here's the kicker. If you were designing such a probe, wouldn't you disguise it as something ordinary? A rock, a comet, a chunk of ice, something no young species would bother to chase, unless they were curious enough to notice the odd details. That's what makes this theory so compelling. It suggests 3i Atlas is meant to hide in plain sight. Theory 2. The Scout. A twist on the probe theory is the Scout theory. In this version, 3i Atlas isn't just a passive recorder, it's an active scout, mapping, measuring, maybe even testing us. Consider this. Every spacecraft we send to the outer solar system carries instruments to measure magnetic fields, atmospheres, and surface chemistry. Why wouldn't an alien probe do the same? But here's where it gets eerie. What if the tests aren't physical but psychological? What if the true mission of 3i Atlas is to see how humanity reacts? Think about it. We noticed, we debated. Some of us imagined it was a rock. Others speculated it was alien. In a sense, we're already taking the test, and our answers may reveal more about us than we realize. Do we dismiss mysteries too quickly? Do we leap to wild conclusions? Do we explore, or do we ignore? A scout doesn't need to fight or conquer. All it needs to do is watch. Theory 3. The messenger. Now let's get stranger. What if 3i Atlas is not here to observe us, but to deliver a message? Not in the way Hollywood imagines with glowing lights and booming voices, but in subtlety. The orbit itself could be the message. Its trajectory near Mars could be the message. The idea here is that an advanced intelligence might not talk the way we expect. No radio, no laser beams. Instead, they speak in geometry, in patterns of motion. To us, it feels like coincidence. To them, it is the equivalent of writing a sentence across the sky. If this sounds too far-fetched, remember, humans already do this. Astronomers have proposed sending spacecraft to trace mathematical patterns in the void, spirals, triangles, that could only be the work of intelligence. So why not imagine that's what we're seeing with 3i Atlas? Theory 4. The beacon. An even more daring idea is the beacon theory. What if 3i Atlas is not about us at all? What if it's a lighthouse, shining silently through the solar system meant to be seen by anyone passing by? Picture it. Advanced civilizations scatter beacons like breadcrumbs across the galaxy. Each one drifts until captured, however briefly, by a star system. They don't broadcast messages every second. They simply exist. And any civilization advanced enough to notice will recognize the signal. In this theory, 3i Atlas is less about spying on Earth and more about planting a flag. It says, we were here, we are here, and others will be too. Theory 5. The test of Mars. But then there's the Mars angle. What if 3i Atlas is linked to Mars specifically? Some researchers suggest it could be an activation test. That is, the object remains silent until humanity sets foot on Mars. Then, something happens. Perhaps it powers on. Perhaps it transmits. Perhaps it triggers something buried on the Martian surface. This theory is thrilling because it ties directly into our timeline. NASA wants to land humans on Mars in the 2030s. SpaceX dreams of doing it even sooner. If 3i Atlas is indeed watching Mars, we may not need to wait centuries for answers. The moment our boots hit the red soil could be the moment the mystery unfolds. Theory 6. The Judgment Watcher. Here comes the darker possibility. What if 3i Atlas is not a friendly probe, not a messenger, but a judge? In this view, advanced civilizations scatter probes across the stars to watch for emerging species. When those species reach a certain threshold, spaceflight, planetary colonization, the watchers report back. The decision of what happens next, that's out of our hands. It could be welcoming, or it could be containment. This echoes the idea of the zoo hypothesis in the Fermi paradox. Aliens may already know about us, but they're keeping their distance, watching, waiting to see if we're dangerous or worth joining. 3i Atlas, then, could be the eye in the sky, silent, patient, deciding our fate. The human response. No matter which theory you lean toward, probe, scout, messenger, beacon, test, or judge, the real story may not be out there, but here. On Earth, 3i Atlas has already changed us. Scientists debate more openly about interstellar objects. Writers and filmmakers spin new myths. Everyday people, like you, are pulled into wonder, and that matters. Because civilizations are guided not just by what they discover, but by what they imagine. 3i Atlas may be the spark that shifts humanity's imagination toward the stars in a way no government or company ever could. The cliffhanger. So here's the heart of Chapter 4. The theories are many, the evidence is thin, but the possibilities are endless, and in the absence of certainty, humanity does what it always does. It dreams. But in Chapter 5, we'll look back to history. Because 3i Atlas is not the first mysterious visitor from interstellar space. In 2017, Oumuamua forced us to ask similar questions, and the way we responded then holds clues to how we should respond now. Before you leave, let me ask you, which theory do you find most convincing? Probe, scout, messenger, beacon, test, or judge? Drop your answer in the comments. I love reading your thoughts. And if you want to stay on this journey, hit that subscribe button. Because the next chapter takes us deeper into the mystery than ever before. What if 3i Atlas is not the first stranger to slip into our skies, but only the latest in a line of quiet visitors? What if, years before it arrived, another interstellar traveller came to test humanity's imagination, to see whether we were ready to ask the right questions? This chapter is about that shadow, Oumuamua, the first confirmed interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system. The one that shook astronomy, the one that left questions echoing long after it was gone. and the one that might hold the key to understanding what 3i Atlas really means. Before we dive in, if you love these cosmic mysteries, make sure you like this video and subscribe. Not only does it help the channel grow, it ensures you'll never miss the next step in our journey across the unknown. The day the sky broke open. October 19th, 2017. Astronomers using the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii detect a strange object racing across the sky. At first it looks like a typical asteroid, but as more observations come in, the numbers don't add up. Its path is hyperbolic. That means it's not bound to the sun. It came from outside the solar system, and it's on its way out. This has never been seen before. Its speed? Almost 87 kilometers per second. Far too fast to have formed here. Its shape? Long and stretched, like a cigar or maybe even a pancake. Its behavior? Even stranger. As it moved, it accelerated slightly as if pushed by something invisible. But there was no tail, no coma, no outgassing like a comet should have. To many scientists, this was just an exotic rock. To others, it was something more, something unsettling. NASA and most of the astronomical community classified Oumuamua as an interstellar object, likely a fragment of a comet from another star system. The acceleration, they argued, might come from outgassing too faint to detect. The odd shape? Just natural variability. In other words, nothing to see here. Just the universe doing what the universe does. But not everyone was satisfied. The rebel voice. Avi Loeb. One of the loudest challengers was Avi Loeb, an astrophysicist from Harvard. He asked a simple question. What if Oumuamua wasn't natural? He pointed out, the acceleration couldn't be fully explained by outgassing. The shape was unlike any asteroid or comet ever seen. The brightness flickered as if it were flat and reflective, like a solar sail. Loeb proposed a radical possibility. Oumuamua could have been a probe, a piece of alien technology drifting through space powered by sunlight. The suggestion sparked controversy. Some called it visionary, others called it reckless, but it planted a seed. For the first time in mainstream science, the idea of alien probes wasn't just whispered in the shadows of science fiction. It was debated in journals, on news shows, and in living rooms across the world. Echoes into 3i Atlas, and here's where it connects. When 3i Atlas appeared, the memory of Oumuamua was fresh. The questions were waiting. If Oumuamua taught us to at least consider the possibility of alien probes, then 3i Atlas arrived to test whether we'd learned that lesson. The shadow of Oumuamua hangs over every discussion about 3i Atlas, because it proved one thing beyond doubt. Interstellar visitors are real. They come, they go, and we're lucky when we spot them. So if one such visitor could exist, why not two? Why not 100? Patterns in the visitors. Now let's pause for a thought experiment. What if these interstellar objects are not random? What if there's a pattern? Imagine a network of probes drifting from star to star, each disguised as cometary debris. One passes in 2017, another in the 2020s. Each time we notice just enough to be intrigued, but not enough to be certain. The pattern could be, never reveal too much but never disappear entirely. A slow drip of mystery, ensuring we always keep our eyes lifted skyward. If that's the case, then Oumuamua wasn't an isolated event. It was Chapter 1, and 3i Atlas is Chapter 2. Theories in the shadow. Let's walk through the major theories that emerged after Oumuamua, because they echo directly into our current puzzle. Natural debris. It's just a shard of a rock from another system flung into ours by chance. If this is true, then 3i Atlas is also debris, and the story ends there. Solar sail probe, Loeb's idea, a thin light structure propelled by starlight. In this scenario, 3i Atlas might be its twin. Another sail, another probe, following a different trajectory. Scout fleet. A bolder thought. Oumuamua was the scout. 3i Atlas is the follow-up. Each object plays a role, part of a slow-motion exploration program spanning millennia. Testing humanity. Some argue these objects are less about exploration and more about psychology. Drop something strange into a young civilization's sky, then see what they do with it. If that's the case, our debate itself is the experiment. Public reaction. The seeds of wonder. Oumuamua lit a fire in the public imagination. Suddenly headlines screamed about alien probes. Science fiction stories multiplied. Everyday people asked questions astronomers had long avoided. What if we're not alone? What if the sky has already been visited? What if the proof passed us by and we missed it? The cultural impact was enormous, and this is crucial. Even if Oumuamua was just a rock, it changed us. It cracked open a window of wonder, and 3 Atlas has stepped right through that window. The timeline of suspicion. Think about the timing. 2017, Oumuamua arrives, stirring the pot. 2020's 3 Atlas follows, reawakening the debate. What are the odds? Are we really supposed to believe 2 interstellar objects of this kind appeared so close together in time, after billions of years with none? Or does it suggest we are living in a moment of cosmic significance? Perhaps humanity has just now reached the stage where noticing such objects matters. Perhaps we're being nudged into awareness. The next visitor. Here's where it gets even more engaging for your audience. If we've seen 2 interstellar visitors in less than a decade, odds are good we'll see more. Telescopes are improving, surveys are expanding. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory, coming online soon, may detect dozens of such objects every year. So the question isn't if we'll meet another. The question is when, and what role will it play in this unfolding cosmic story? Will the next be the messenger, the beacon, the undeniable proof? But here's the heart of this chapter. The mystery of Oumuamua wasn't really about the object. It was about us. Some demanded conservative explanations. Others leapt into speculation. Some feared ridicule. Others embraced wonder. And now, with 3 Atlas, we're facing the same divide. The same arguments, the same question. Do we play it safe, or do we dare to dream? In a way, both are necessary. Skepticism grounds us. Imagination lifts us. Together, they form the dance of science. But one thing is clear. Oumuamua set the stage. Without it, 3 Atlas would not feel nearly so mysterious. Without it, we would not be primed to ask, what does this visitor want with Mars? The cliffhanger. And that's where the shadow of Oumuamua leaves us. A reminder that the universe is full of surprises, a hint that we may be part of a larger story, and a warning that if we blink, we might miss it. Because the real question is not whether Oumuamua was alien. The real question is, if it was, did it leave something behind? And could that something be linked to the strange path of 3 Atlas? In the next chapter, we'll follow the trail of breadcrumbs, the possibility that interstellar visitors are not isolated events, but threads of a larger pattern, one that may connect directly to Mars. Before you go, let me ask you this. Do you think Oumuamua was just a rock? Or was it something more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're loving this journey, don't forget to subscribe, because the next chapter may just be the most chilling yet. What if Mars isn't just another planet in our neighborhood, but the destination? What if 3 Atlas, the interstellar traveler sweeping silently through our skies, has more than curiosity in its mission? What if it has intent, and that intent is focused on Mars? Tonight we follow a thread that has haunted astronomers, philosophers, and dreamers alike. Why Mars, and what does 3 Atlas want with it? But before we unravel this mystery, let me ask you a favor. If you love these late-night journeys through the cosmos, please tap that like button and subscribe to join our constellation of dreamers. Each click helps us keep exploring the questions that keep you awake at night, and helps more restless minds find peace in the stars. Mars, humanity's mirror. Mars has always been different. Even in ancient times, the Red Wanderer stood out against the black velvet sky. Its hue sparked myths of war and blood. Civilizations from Babylon to Rome gave it the identity of a god, not just a light in the heavens. but a force that could shape fate itself. In telescopic times, Mars became the first world where we dared to imagine neighbours. Canals were drawn across its face by Percival Lowell. Whole civilizations of Martians were pictured building, fighting, thriving. Mars has always been more than a planet. It has been a mirror, reflecting our deepest fears, our greatest hopes, and our hunger for companionship in the void. So is it really so strange that if an alien probe like 3I Atlas were to choose a focal point, it would be Mars, Atlas's path, and the Martian crossroads? Let's talk numbers. The orbit of 3I Atlas isn't random. As it moves, its trajectory brings it remarkably close to multiple planetary neighbours: Venus, Jupiter, and yes, Mars. Now, astronomers will tell you this could simply be coincidence. After all, the universe is vast and probability works in mysterious ways. But here's the staggering figure. The chance of an object wandering through interstellar space and threading a path so neatly aligned with inner solar system worlds is vanishingly small, less than 0.005%. So if chance is unlikely, what does that leave us with? Intent. And intent is the one word that transforms a comet into a question and a rock into a message. Why Mars? If 3I Atlas is here for more than sightseeing, why might it care about Mars in particular? 3 reasons stand out. Habitability. Mars once flowed with rivers and lakes. Its dried deltas and ancient seabeds whisper of a time when it might have been alive. If alien watchers were scanning for life-bearing worlds, Mars would have lit up on their maps. Proximity to Earth. Mars is our neighbour, and perhaps a safer test subject than Earth itself. If you wanted to observe humanity, its technology, its exploration drive, Mars is the perfect lens. You can watch how we reach for it, how we stumble, and how we dream of making it our second home. Potential as a base. For any interstellar civilization, worlds like Mars, cold, airless, but stable, make excellent staging grounds. They don't require disturbing a native biosphere. They provide raw materials, and most importantly, they're close enough to keep an eye on us, without getting too close. So, could Mars be more than a planet to explore? Could it be a stage in someone else's plan? Whispers in the data. Now here's where things get eerie. When astronomers tracked 3I Atlas's trajectory, they noticed something strange. Subtle alignments that seemed just a little too precise. At certain times, its path curved in ways that, while explainable by gravity, also felt guided. Even more curious, some amateur observers claim that faint radio anomalies have been picked up when the object lines up with Mars. Weak pulsing signals. So faint they drown in the noise, but so regular they raise eyebrows. Mainstream science shrugs this off. Instruments glitch. Space is noisy. But those whispers stick in the imagination. Could 3I Atlas be talking to Mars? Or listening to it? The psychological gravity of Mars. But maybe the most profound effect of 3I Atlas has nothing to do with physics or orbits. Maybe it has to do with us. Think about it. Every time a strange visitor enters our skies, humanity projects its hopes and fears onto it. With 3I Atlas, the conversation always loops back to Mars. It's as if the comet is tugging at our collective unconscious, pulling our gaze toward the red planet. We dream of colonies, we fund missions, we talk about terraforming. Is it possible that 3I Atlas is shaping our cultural trajectory, nudging us toward Mars without ever saying a word? 3 scenarios for the Martian connection. Let's map out the possibilities. The Watcher. Theory. In this view, 3I Atlas is simply observing how humanity handles its neighbour. Every rover we send, every rocket we launch is a data point. They're not intervening, they're studying. The seed theory. What if 3I Atlas has delivered, or will deliver, something to Mars? A payload hidden in its icy body waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps microbes, perhaps machinery, perhaps just a signal bouncing quietly from the Martian surface. The catalyst theory. The boldest scenario. 3I Atlas is not just a watcher, but a trigger. Its presence is designed to push us toward Mars faster. to accelerate our destiny. If we colonize Mars, maybe that's the test. Maybe that's when first contact can happen. The human angle, our red obsession. Let's bring this down to Earth, or rather, to humans. Elon Musk dreams of fleets of starships carrying settlers to Mars. NASA is plotting manned missions in the 2030s. China has plans of its own, and scientists across the globe are debating how to terraform an entire world. We are obsessed with Mars. Now ask yourself, is this obsession purely human ambition, or is it being quietly cultivated by the mysteries we see in the sky? The bigger question, if 3i Atlas is tied to Mars, then the real question becomes, is that connection for our benefit, or theirs? Do they want us to thrive on Mars, to spread across the stars, or are we simply part of an experiment, watched like ants building a colony in a glass tank? And if Mars is the stage, what's the play? Cliffhanger toward the red horizon. So here we are, caught between wonder and dread. 3. The Atlas drifts through space, its path brushing close to Mars. The red planet waits, silent, holding secrets in its dust and stone. And we, restless dreamers on Earth, feel the pull. We look up at the visitor, we look out at Mars, and we ask, are we the explorers or the explored? In the next chapter, we'll follow this thread further, asking what it would mean if 3i Atlas has already left something behind on Mars. A gift, a trap, or perhaps a mirror to our own ambitions. Before you drift off tonight, tell me in the comments, if you had one question to ask an alien probe about Mars, what would it be? And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more, because the red horizon is only getting closer. What if 3i Atlas isn't just passing through? What if, hidden within its icy body, it carries a payload, a gift, a warning or a seed, already destined for Mars? What if this wandering object, this interstellar messenger, has not only observed us, but delivered something that could change the fate of humanity forever? Tonight, we explore the most daring question yet. What if 3i Atlas has already planted its secret on the red planet? And before we begin, let me remind you, if these cosmic mysteries ignite your imagination, please like this video and subscribe to join our community of dreamers. It's the best way to keep this channel growing, and it ensures you won't miss the next revelation. The payload hypothesis. Every time we've studied comets up close, they've surprised us. They carry complex organic molecules, they deliver water, they crash into planets and seed atmospheres. Now imagine 3i Atlas, not a comet but a courier, an interstellar delivery system travelling for millions of years. What would it carry, and why Mars? Scenario 1. The biological seed. The most haunting possibility is biological. Perhaps 3i Atlas carries microbes locked in its icy heart, alien organisms waiting for release. Mars, with its frozen soil and ancient aquifers, could be the perfect laboratory. Maybe this is how life spreads, not in one great spark, but by spores carried on celestial messengers, a panspermia project stretching across star systems. Could Mars already be infected or blessed with the biology of another world? Scenario 2. The mechanical probe. Or perhaps the payload isn't alive in the organic sense. Perhaps it's alive in the mechanical sense. Imagine a device no bigger than a pebble. It could land on Mars unnoticed. It could burrow into the dust. It could awaken, unfolding solar panels, transmitting data back to the stars. Mars would make the perfect staging ground. Few eyes are watching. No ecosystems to disrupt. Just endless landscapes to hide a machine. Some have even speculated, what if our rovers' spirit, opportunity, curiosity, perseverance have already driven past alien artifacts without recognizing them? What if the payload is already there, buried in plain sight? Scenario 3. The mirror. But the payload could be stranger still. What if 3i Atlas doesn't deliver life or machines, but something symbolic? A message, a mirror, a kind of cosmic art meant to shift our psychology, a monument buried in Martian dust, a pattern etched in the surface, something that tells us we are not alone. If found, it wouldn't just change science, it would change humanity itself. The evidence trail, now let's follow the breadcrumbs. Some independent researchers claim that unusual chemical signatures have been spotted in the coma of 3I Atlas, tiny traces that don't match normal cometary models. Others point to anomalies in Mars-orbiting satellites, odd spikes in magnetic readings, unexplained flashes of light in the atmosphere. None of these are confirmed, none of them are accepted by mainstream science, but together they create an unsettling possibility that the payload theory isn't just science fiction. The Martian soil puzzle. Here's something even stranger. In 2021, the Perseverance rover drilled samples from Mars' Jezero crater. Early reports suggested organic compounds, not life, but the building blocks of life. NASA played it cautiously. Not proof, they said, not conclusive. But conspiracy circles asked, what if those compounds weren't Martian at all? What if they were planted? What if the rover accidentally sampled a breadcrumb from 3I Atlas's hidden payload? Historical parallels. History gives us reasons to believe the payload idea isn't so crazy. Think about Earth's own comets. Some scientists believe life here may have been seeded by comets 4 billion years ago. They carried water, they carried organics, they carried possibilities. If life on Earth began with a cosmic delivery, then why couldn't life on Mars or elsewhere begin the same way? Perhaps 3I Atlas is simply continuing an ancient interstellar tradition to carry seeds from star to star, planting the universe with life. But what if the payload is already working, not physically but mentally? The mere presence of 3I Atlas has shifted human thought. We're making videos about it, writing papers, arguing whether it's alien, dreaming of Mars with renewed urgency. Maybe the payload isn't inside 3I Atlas. Maybe it is 3I Atlas. The object itself is the delivery, a trigger planted in our collective imagination. It doesn't need to land. It doesn't need to drop anything. It just needs to be seen. 3 levels of seeding. Let's map out how this could unfold. Biological seeding. The comet carries spores, microbes, or DNA, seeding worlds with life. Technological seeding. The comet hides machines, probes, or instructions, turning worlds into laboratories. Cultural seeding. The comet is a psychological payload, reshaping civilization simply by appearing. Whichever level you choose, the payload hypothesis turns 3I Atlas from a rock into a revolutionary, Mars as the receiver. Why Mars? Because it's perfect. Accessible, close to Earth, within reach of our probes, empty enough, no thriving biosphere to disturb. Mysterious enough, a place where any anomaly can be explained away as weird geology. If you wanted to deliver a payload to humanity without being obvious, Mars would be your mailbox. The human factor. Here's the part that grips me most. Maybe we've already found the payload, and we don't know it. Maybe it's sitting in a Martian rock sample. Maybe it's embedded in a meteorite we collected decades ago. Maybe it's whispering from the static of a radio telescope. And maybe, just maybe, is waiting for us to recognize it. The cliffhanger. So here's the riddle. If 3I Atlas has delivered something to Mars, then the real question isn't what is it? The real question is, what happens when we find it? Does the discovery lift us into a new age, a cosmic initiation into the interstellar community? Or does it unravel us, shattering our fragile sense of being alone at the center of our own story? We won't know until we dig deeper. Before you close your eyes tonight, let me ask you, if you uncovered an alien payload on Mars, would you open it or leave it buried? And don't forget to subscribe, because the final chapters will take us into the most haunting questions of all. What if 3I Atlas isn't just delivering something to Mars, but is here to judge us? A silent examiner measuring our curiosity, our fears, our ability to adapt. Not a comet, not even a probe, but a trial. And before we begin, If you're fascinated by the idea that humanity itself might be under cosmic observation, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. It means the world, and it helps this community of cosmic dreamers grow. The ancient idea of tests. Across every culture, myths tell of trials sent from beyond. The Greeks had Prometheus, bringing fire and testing human ambition. In Hindu epics, gods descended to see if mortals would act with virtue or greed. In the Bible, humanity faced trials of faith and temptation. So what if Three-Eye Atlas is just the modern version of an ancient archetype? The cosmic trial, dressed not in myth but in astronomy. Why a test, not an attack? If an advanced civilization wanted to conquer us, they wouldn't need comets. They'd send weapons, they'd send fleets. But what if conquest isn't the point? What if the real test is whether we can recognize Three-Eye Atlas for what it truly is? Whether we can respond with wisdom or dismiss it as just another comet? The trial isn't about survival, it's about awareness. Test 1. Curiosity versus fear. The first part of the trial is simple. Will humanity respond with curiosity or with fear? Already the world is split. Some see Three-Eye Atlas as an opportunity for discovery, a chance to learn. Others spread panic, whispering of doomsday impacts, alien invasions, or divine omens. If you were observing us, what would you conclude? Are we explorers or children frightened of the dark? Test 2. Unity versus division. Imagine if Three-Eye Atlas releases a signal, detectable but faint, something that requires cooperation between nations to decode. Would humanity come together, sharing data, combining telescopes, pooling knowledge? Or would we guard it jealously, hiding results behind military walls, turning discovery into competition? This second test could reveal whether we are capable of acting as one species, or if tribalism still chains us to the ground. Test 3. Patience versus impulse. Perhaps the payload on Mars isn't obvious. Maybe it requires decades of careful study, slow excavation, and open-minded thinking. Would humanity have the patience to investigate without rushing to claim, exploit, or destroy? A civilization with short attention spans might fail this test before they even realize they're taking it. The shadow of past trials. What if this isn't the first trial? Think about the Tunguska event, or the Oumuamua anomaly. Strange objects have brushed our skies before. Maybe each one was a small exam, a warm-up test. And each time, humanity reacted with a mix of awe and dismissal, curiosity and fear. Maybe Three-Eye Atlas is simply the latest in a long series of questions we keep failing to answer. The psychological test. Here's the hidden twist. The trial might not be external at all. 3. Eye Atlas doesn't need to release probes or signals. Its very presence is enough. By existing, it forces us to confront deep questions. Are we alone? What does it mean to be observed? Are we ready to meet others, or even to meet ourselves in the mirror of the cosmos? This is the most subtle test of all, whether we can sit with mystery without collapsing into fear. The stakes of failure. What happens if we fail? Maybe nothing. Maybe Three-Eye Atlas will simply continue on its path, silent, recording our behavior and reporting back across the stars. But maybe failing the trial means we aren't contacted. We're left in isolation, wandering our small planet, never invited to the greater cosmic community. The silence of the universe could be not emptiness, but rejection. A locked door we haven't earned the key to, signs we're already being watched. Some researchers suggest subtle evidence, unexplained electromagnetic bursts near Mars, odd fluctuations in the ionosphere after Three-Eye Atlas's passage, reports of synchronized telescope anomalies across different continents. Are these glitches, or are they checkpoints in the test? Imagine if every choice we make, every scientific paper, every debate broadcast online is part of the observation. Humanity is already in the exam hall, and the examiner is silent. The mirror effect. But maybe the test isn't about proving ourselves to aliens. Maybe it's about proving ourselves to ourselves. 3. I-Atlas could be a cosmic mirror. How we react says more about humanity than about the object itself. If we panic, it shows we're not ready. If we fight over it, we remain divided. But if we wonder, collaborate, and imagine, we pass. Passing the trial may not open doors to aliens, but it could open doors to a stronger humanity. What if 3i Atlas isn't here to test us, but to invite us? Not a judgment, not a warning, but a door, a chance for humanity to step into something larger than itself. Before we open this last possibility, if you've been journeying with me through this series, I'd be honoured if you'd like this video and subscribe. It helps more dreamers, thinkers and night wanderers join us, and maybe that's the real beginning of humanity's invitation. The cosmic gesture. Imagine you're a civilization millions of years older than ours. You've crossed the stars, not with warships, but with patience. How would you reach out to a younger species without terrifying them? You wouldn't arrive with fleets. You wouldn't appear in the sky with glowing signs. You'd send something subtle, something natural seeming, a messenger dressed as a comet, a quiet handshake across the void. Could 3i Atlas be that gesture? The Mars rendezvous. Why Mars? Because Mars is humanity's next step, our training ground, the planet we've dreamed of colonizing for centuries. By shaping its trajectory to brush past Mars, 3i Atlas may be leaving a breadcrumb, a cosmic note that says, "Meet us here. When you are ready, this is where we'll be." It's no accident. It's choreography. The dance of orbits transformed into language. The language of trajectories. Astronomers know that 3i Atlas's orbit is improbably precise. The odds of it passing so close to multiple planets, including Mars, are microscopic if random. What if the orbit itself is the message? A kind of celestial writing, numbers and alignments serving as sentences in a language of gravity. Maybe we're staring at a message, but we don't yet know how to read it. Invitations in human history. Think of the invitations we've left for others. The golden records on the Voyager probes. The Arecibo message, broadcast to the stars. Petroglyphs carved into rocks thousands of years ago, meant to outlast the carvers. Every civilization leaves invitations, clues, symbols of its presence. What if 3i Atlas is simply the universe's version of our own golden record? The Great Alignment. Now imagine this. In the year 2047, when humanity is predicted to have established its first semi-permanent base on Mars, 3i Atlas orbit brings it into another remarkable alignment with the red planet. Is that a coincidence? Or a meeting scheduled in advance? Could the object be waiting for us, timing its return with the moment humanity is finally ready to step off Earth for good? The spiritual invitation. Not every invitation is physical. Some are psychological. 3i Atlas might not be offering a meeting on Mars at all. Instead, it could be inviting us to expand inward, to dream bigger, to imagine beyond fear, to ask questions we never dared before. Sometimes the real invitation isn't to travel outward, but to awaken. The risks of accepting. But every invitation carries risk. What if Mars is not just a meeting ground, but a proving ground? What if the invitation is also a challenge? Survive here, and you prove yourselves worthy of the stars. Or darker still, what if answering the invitation exposes us to something beyond our comprehension? A civilization whose motives are not hostile, but not entirely benevolent either. The choice to accept isn't without consequence. The first steps. Still, humanity is already moving toward Mars. Every rocket launch, every rover, every blueprint for a colony is a step toward answering the cosmic call. And maybe that's why 3i Atlas came now, to align with the moment when humanity is teetering on the edge of becoming a multiplanetary species, to remind us that we are not doing it alone, that the universe is watching, waiting, and perhaps preparing to welcome us. The final question. So let's ask the question one last time. What does 3i Atlas want with Mars? Is it a test, a trial, or an invitation? Maybe it's all three. A test of our curiosity, a trial of our unity. And finally, an invitation to step into the wider galactic story. What's certain is this: the arrival of 3i Atlas has already changed us. It's forced us to imagine differently, to wonder whether humanity is part of something much larger than we ever allowed ourselves to believe. And so, as 3i Atlas drifts back into the dark between the stars, I leave you with this thought. Perhaps we've already accepted the invitation, not by landing on Mars, not by sending signals back into space, but by sitting here tonight, together, wondering. Because the first step of any invitation is the willingness to answer, and by asking what 3i Atlas wants, we have already knocked on the cosmic door. If this journey stirred your imagination, I'd love for you to like this video and subscribe. Every new subscriber helps us grow this circle of dreamers who dare to wonder. Tell me in the comments, do you believe 3i Atlas is a message, a test, or an invitation? And if it is an invitation, would humanity be ready to accept it? Until next time, sleep well under the stars.